Think of everything you know. Everything that makes you remarkable. Everything that makes you, you. Where do you bring it to thrive? Where do you unlock your ambition? At the University of Kent, we make our mark together in a community that celebrates individuality and equality, champions human rights, and embraces entrepreneurial spirit. Because the University of Kent is more than a place. It is a collective of groundbreakers, risk takers, change makers, creative thinkers, and blue sky dreamers. Where we move forward together and where innovative research comes to life. It's time for the world to know that we make ambition count. The University of Kent.
Hello, my name is Abby and I'd like to welcome you to the University of Kent Virtual Open Day. You'll have the opportunity to find out everything you need to know about studying here. If you have any questions, we'll be answering them here with our guests. Well, the first person joining us is Dan Williams. He's a recruitment officer here at the University of Kent. Dan, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Firstly, tell us, what's life like here at Kent other than beautiful sunshine?
Well, so as a former University of Kent student, Abby, I have a lot of experience of the lovely student life here. Obviously, as you noted, it is a very beautiful, tranquil campus. And one thing that I really like about it is you can kind of go about it in your own pace. There's a huge amount of social opportunities that could be in terms of the 250 student societies that are available here. That can be through lots of different social opportunities that you can find through that, both on campus and via the city centre as well. And some of the fantastic career opportunities here that are available are also fantastic. There's a huge amount you can be getting on with, but one thing I really like about the student life is that you can go about it in terms of your own pace. So if you want something that's a bit more relaxed, the campus is big enough that you can go about it in quite a relaxed sort of situation. However, if you're someone who's going to be, getting stuck in with all of those social opportunities, there is definitely a lot available that you can get stuck in with as well.
And what's the student support like? That will be on the minds of a lot of undergraduates looking to do a postgrad, thinking how does that support change in a master's degree?
Well, the support remains largely the same. So all of the student support services in terms of your accommodation with the fantastic Res Life team, that is definitely still a thing that goes on. Fantastic mental health services through great counselling service and other additional support. There's a huge amount of accessible support as well for those with disabilities. That could be via accessible accommodation, or that could be support for those with specific learning differences. There's this sort of myth associated with university, I think, that it is this completely independent thing, but there is a huge amount of support available. I really do wish to stress that.
It's kind of what you make of it, I suppose, when you come here, but knowing that support is available if needed as well. And something you mentioned there, accommodation, is a huge part of the process. A lot of people moving from across the country, moving from different countries, and it's hard to make a new home feel like your old home as well. So what's that accommodation like for postgraduate students?
So typically in terms of postgraduate accommodation, you'll usually be allocated to either Keynes, Wolf or Darwin college accommodation, but it can be throughout the campus. There are different accommodations that are available, so definitely have a look at applying to those that you do find of interest. As I said just before, in terms of the Res Life team, there's a huge amount of support in terms of your accommodation. So if there is anything that you are struggling with, there is a lot of support on hand if you do need to be moved to another accommodation or if there's any other questions that you have. Now, this is in terms of on-campus accommodation. There is a lot of fantastic off-campus accommodation that's available with a huge bustling student community through one of 3 universities that are in the Canterbury area. There is a huge amount of off-campus accommodation that is available. So there are going to be a lot of different options that you can sift through.
It is known as the student city, and certainly the nightlife reflects it as well, which we'll get onto in a moment. But an important conversation to have is about the finance and also scholarship options. What are they like for postgrad?
So a lot of postgraduate students do find themselves struggling a bit at first to know where are the best places to start. One thing I would recommend is having a quick Google of Postgraduate Loans University of Kent. That will take you onto a page that has all of the available information in terms of scholarships and funding. Now, this can also be found on the Kent Uni website, and there is more in-detail information available on the gov.uk website as well. Now, what you might find when you have a look through all of this is that a lot of it is usually allocated just for UK residents. There is a lot of funding available for international students that can be found on findaMasters.com. That is a really fantastic website in terms of finding that international funding. But there's also a lot of financial information you can find while you're at the University of Kent. This could be through the drop-in service available at the Mandela Building via the Kent Union. They offer a lot of support in terms of financial information, and is a lot of cost of living support, which we will get onto, but there is a lot of support available in terms of measures that we're doing to support the cost of living as well.
And of course, a crisis that's affecting all of us up and down the country. But here in Kent, what's that like for students? It can be really tricky to manage budgets anyway, but as a student in particular, managing a job while studying in a master's degree, perhaps, what's that cost of living support like, and what can students look out for, I suppose, deals-wise?
Yes, certainly. So I can certainly relate to this, Abby. Being a former student myself, I'm very acutely aware of how the cost of living situation can be at times quite stressful. Now, there is a lot of support in terms of the cost of living webpage, which has all of the measures that University of Kent are consistently putting out to help mitigate this crisis. There's a lot of budget tips you can get in terms of deals that are available at either of our co-op supermarkets. There's a lot of things we're doing in terms of discounted bus fares, removal of library fines as well. There's a really great deal as well available at both the Canterbury and the Medway campus, which is a £3.50 hot meal that you can get during days during the week. That is something that you can do, which allows you to ensure that you get a really good hot meal for really good value as well. So there is a lot you can do in terms of managing your budget.
Important while you're studying. What's one thing that you would offer to postgraduate students that are thinking of coming from perhaps another university if they've never been here before and they've already done a degree and then thinking about another move? What would be sort of a piece of advice that maybe someone might not necessarily ask the question, but they should really know before coming to the county but also becoming a student here?
Well, an important thing with that is just making sure that you are prepared, that making sure you do that research. I can fully appreciate that it might be quite a daunting move to go from one university that you're quite familiar with and going to another university. But in my opinion, university is all about celebrating differences and trying new things. And this is something that can be reflected in doing a master's at a different university as well. But as I was saying, doing that research to make sure you're familiar with the city lifestyle, making sure you're familiar with the different accommodation options, student support services, seeing how that might differ from your university you've been to before, that might be an important consideration. And yeah, just making sure that you're prepared and informed ahead of going to university so you can have the best and most comfortable experience you can while you're here.
And it's very important to talk about inclusivity as well. You mentioned a bit there with accommodation just earlier, but what's support like for here at the university for people with disabilities?
Well, there are a ton of measures that are available all throughout the campus. This could be through via in terms of accessible accommodation, ground floor accommodation. This could be support for those with specific learning differences. This could be in terms of extra time allocated in exams. It could be a scriber. It could be a whole variety of things. I have a bit of experience this with a friend of mine who had dyslexia, and he was able to access student support services that helped him to get extra time in exams and check his essays for all important spelling, punctuation and grammar mistakes. And he would say the same if he was here. If he did not know that support was available, then he might not have got the grade he eventually got. So that's why I really stress it's really important to make sure that you are prepared and you are aware of all the student support services that are available. But this support also extends to fantastic counselling services as well that can help with a variety of different situations. And there are indeed a lot of other student support services that are available that we can't mention in this short time frame. So have a look on our webpage, student support, and just see what is out there and what we can help with.
Some really key advice there, Dan. Thank you very much for answering those questions. Now let's take a whistle-stop tour of the beautiful Canterbury campus.
Hi, I'm Harry. I'm in my first year studying drama and theatre.
Hi, I'm MJ and I'm studying a Master's in Conservation and International Wildlife Trade. Come with us for a tour of our beautiful campus. When I first came to campus, I loved how green it is and how big. There are shops to pick up essentials, cafes, a sports centre, a nightclub, and lots of different types of uni accommodation. There's also a chapel and a faith space on campus.
For me, I was most pleased to see the on-campus cinema and theatre. I've also had some good times in the bars. They're friendly spaces where everyone's welcome. And there's a fantastic view of Canterbury from campus. You can walk there in 25 minutes whenever you want a taste of city life. It's a gorgeous city with lots of independent shops, cafes, pubs, cinemas and a theatre. Stag Coffee and Kitchen is a personal favourite of mine and a great place to get brunch.
My favourite night out in Canterbury is at a pub called the Lady Luck. The Tokyo tea rooms are pretty good too. I have a part-time job at Cha Lab, a bubble tea shop, definitely not to be missed.
Canterbury also has loads of history, with cobbled streets and the oldest cathedral in the country, where you get to graduate. And from Canterbury, you're just a quick train ride away from London and the Kent coast.
So with our green campus and lively city, we have the best of both worlds.
You can never leave campus and have a great time.
If you're into sport, Kent has some fantastic facilities. I'm a member of the Boxing Society. It's really good and the coach is great. There's also women-only day too.
The Gulbenkian is one of my favourite spots on campus. As well as a cinema, there's a theatre and cafe. Plus, if you become a member, you get a discount on your tickets. The Collier Ferguson Music Building is also part of the centre, where Music Society students get to rehearse and perform.
My favourite night out on campus is Wednesday at Venue. It's always busy, all societies are there, and it's just a fun night out. But we're here to learn. The library, 4 floors, millions of books and journals, fantastic online resources make studying easy. You can always find me in my favourite spot on the first floor. My flatmate prefers the PG-only study space in the Senate. There are also student hubs across campus.
There are fantastic subject facilities too.
Thank you. You'll be very busy, but don't forget to eat. My favourite place to eat on campus is Mungo's. When I first arrived from India, I didn't have any trouble settling in. There were events specifically for international students, and there's an app you can download that tells you what's happening when.
Welcome Week is brilliant. All the sports teams and societies have stalls so you can sign up to whatever interests you. Getting to know people is easy. We're all in the same boat.
You can make a lot of fond memories on campus. The student body does a lot of wellness activities, such as bringing therapy dogs to campus or distributing houseplants.
I think the best thing about uni is all the people you meet while you're here. Before I came, I was most nervous about finding a new group of friends. But once you arrive, the nerves are quickly gone.
Great to see what there is on the lovely Canterbury campus there. Now we'll be joined by Dan again a bit later, but now I'm here with postgraduate student Jade Todd. And Jade, thank you very much for joining us. We'll jump straight in. Tell us what your undergrad was, what your postgrad is, and what that transition was like between the two, because that'll be a key question for those people who know what studying a degree is like, but wonder what that next year is going to be like.
So I did my undergrad in history and then my postgrad in marketing. So for me personally, obviously it's going to depend on the course that you do. But I found the transition between UG and PG not as intense as I feared it would be. I think the lecturers are quite aware that there's going to be a jump, and they're quite considerate of that, and make sure that the first few weeks of term kind of eases you in, and they're always there to help you as well. So it's what you make of it. Just make sure you have time management and block things out properly, and you'll be good.
And obviously we're talking just around the corner from Freshers Week as well. What's that like for postgraduate then?
So Freshers Week is great. I mean, it's open to everyone. I think a lot of my postgrad course mates were kind of more reserved in what they got themselves involved with because they thought maybe it was more for UG students, but really it's for everyone. So anything Freshers Week, Welcome Week, really just make the most of it. Try all the events, join all the society taster sessions, and it'll be great.
Because you don't have to commit to any societies at that point. You can test them all out and see what you like. You've got 250 to choose from, so plenty, and 60 of them are sports, which yes. I know you've probably done them all.
Yes, I feel like at this point, yeah, I have done them all. So for UG, I did badminton and a bit of korfball, more traditional and then less traditional. And then postgrad, I did women's hockey, which is really nice. It's a massive club. I think this year we have 5 teams. So with the sports teams, depending on the size of the club, there'll be different amounts of teams. So everyone's welcome, no matter what your ability is. If you want to play, they will let you play, which is really, really nice. It's really welcoming. And then I did ultimate frisbee, which is really fun.
You need 3 people to put forward, and you can actually create sort of your own society, put it forward. So if there's something you really love from your hometown or something you were part of, a club you want to start, that you can. How important do you think that is to sort of helping get used to this community here and making it feel like a home from home?
I think that's really important. I mean, obviously we have so much to choose from and everyone's welcome in every club, but being able to create your own is really nice, especially with your friends, and then you get to meet more like-minded people, and it's just nice to have something of your own, I think.
And what's it like making friends? Because you've just done it in your undergrad for 3 years. Now you've got to do it all over again in your postgrad, because people are coming from different universities as well. So what's that like? Do you feel sort of the nerves, or are you sort of a veteran in it because you've already done it before?
Yeah, I feel like, for me at least, so a lot of people had graduated because I was going from a course, an undergraduate course that was different to my postgrad, so I didn't know people that had studied marketing before. So I felt like I was starting fresh all over again. And I think it was just as easy as undergrad, maybe even more easy, but I've made more friends now than I did in my undergrad. And I think it's what you make of it. Join the societies, that's how you make friends instantly, especially sports, I think, because you've got an activity as well, and it's that kind of community, and you build trust with each other. So it's great. I'd say join societies, definitely.
And it's important to find that balance between studying and having fun, but also another thing is working as well. A lot of postgraduates will be thinking that they want a job as well. The societies, the studying, it can be quite a lot. So what's that sort of jump like, and what advice would you give? Because I know you have studied while working as well.
Definitely. I think definitely time management is a big one. I mean, it's doable, but it might take a little more intention than if you were just studying yourself. So for example, when I was studying, I had a job with the university, which was nice. That was quite good. It was on a timesheet, so I could kind of make it work for me. Whereas I know a lot of my friends did a lot of work for the kind of catering outlets that we have on campus. Co-op was a big employer that a lot of my friends worked for, and then in town as well. So
plenty of places in the city.
Yeah, plenty of places in the cities, and I think they're all quite mindful that there's a lot of universities
it's
around.
It's a
student city, so they're quite aware that maybe you'll have a lecture, you'll have a seminar. So. Yeah.
And speaking of the city, what's the nightlife like? Because that's a huge part of being a student, even in postgrad as well. You're not tired of the student life.
No.
That's a huge part of it, blowing off some steam and enjoying it. What is the city like? It's beautiful for one.
It is beautiful. It's lovely. In terms of nightlife, I mean, there's a lot of choice down there. I think we've got the more traditional nightclubs, and then we've got quite a few bars as well. We've got new sports bars. We've got pubs. There's lots of things to choose from depending on the type of kind of nightlife that you want, and obviously the campus club as well, which is nice.
Lots to balance as a student, having fun, sports, the studying. The studying's number one though. Thank you so much. It was great to hear from you and hear all your advice firsthand as well as a postgrad student. Thank you very much. Well, let's take a look at the student life you could have on your Kent journey.
Hi, I'm Tony. I'm the current VP Student Engagement at Kent Union, the Students' Union, elected by the student body.
Hi, I'm Caroline, and I'm studying a Master's in International Business with Management. I also worked at Kent Union for 2 years as Vice President of Student Engagement. So, between the two of us, there is not much we don't know about student life at Kent. We've been here for ages, and we have experienced everything. Kent is a welcoming and lively community with space for everyone. With around 150 nationalities on campus, there is no shortage of cultures to discover. We have events year-round to celebrate our diversity, such as Kent Union's Cultural Celebration Week and WorldFest.
There are over 200 sports clubs and societies. You can't join them all. Well, you could, but you'll get the chance to meet them all at Welcome Fair, so don't miss it. I joined netball and I play for the first team. We've just won too many games to count.
I joined the fencing club in my first year and was women's captain and vice president throughout my time at uni. My all-time favourite memory was going to the Team Kent Fall Awards ceremony with my club and winning Sportswoman of the Year.
It's not all netball and fencing though. If you have something you love, let's say musical theatre, join that society. If you're passionate about sustainability, our Gleaning Collective or the Community Oasis Garden could be for you. If for some reason you can't find a society you like, you can start your own. All subjects have an academic society. They're a good way to meet students across year groups, pick up tips and pass on advice. Also, look out for Kent Union's Give It a Go, a chance to try everything from pottery to badge making to nerfing the venue and bubble football for little to no cost.
Musicians and singers will find a home in the music societies. Join the chorus, symphony orchestra, chamber choir, concert or big bands, and perform in the amazing Collier Ferguson Concert Hall. And listen out for the award-winning Kent Gospel Choir, as well as the open mic nights at Woody's where our student bands perform. Or gain experience in the creative industries producing written, video or audio content at the Student Media Centre. At the end of the year, we all celebrate our successes at Summer Ball. Uni is all about trying something new, creating remember when moments. Memories that will stay with you long after graduation, so get involved!
Well, I'm joined by Jade and Dan now for the final part of this University of Kent Virtual Open Day. Thank you both for sticking around and chatting to us, answering so many questions. It's going to help a lot of people. We'll jump into employability now. Dan, I'll come to you first on that. What's that like for postgraduate, and what's the support like looking at sort of going into the big wide world of working after?
So, like undergraduate study, there is a really fantastic job shop that you can access via the Kent Union website, which shows all of the current vacancies that are available on campus. This can be in terms of part-time work, it can be flexible work and summer work opportunities indeed as well. Now, that is a really great place to go in terms of on-campus work opportunities, but there is a lot of work opportunities in the city centre as well, so definitely take that time to have a look at that. You noted about in terms of support, in terms of finding a career afterwards, Abby, and I think that's a really important point to make. So we have a really fantastic careers and advisory service that can help you in terms of while you're here, in terms of finding a really great graduate scheme, but also they can support you up to 3 years after you graduate as well. So there is that support for all of our alumni up to that 3-year mark as well. So there is a lot of support after you leave the university.
And Jade, what was that support like for you? Did that help you actually find a job in the postgrad degree you did?
Yeah, so Dan mentioned job shop. I used that quite a lot throughout my undergrad. So I worked with the university, which was nice. I did a work study scheme where I was a digital media assistant for 2 years. So that was really nice. It helped me be able to work and study because I was able to, work when it fitted me, and they were really considerate of that.
And practice the things you were learning too.
Exactly, yeah. It was really good for my CV. It was a relevant work experience, which I think is so important now. And that helped me get a job after I graduated with the university as well, so that was really nice.
It's amazing. And obviously you've been at Kent for all these years doing your undergrad and postgrad as well, but we have a lot of international students here as well, Dan. Some of the key things to note for those international students thinking about postgrad.
So we mentioned a little bit earlier about in terms of the funding situation for international students is a little bit different. So you might want to have a look at sites such as Find a Masters to have a look at what funding you might have access to. But another important to note is that there is a really vibrant international student community that is available. This can be in terms of some of our 250 plus societies, some of which are culture-based, some are based on different ethnicities and nationalities, so there is one for every sort of pool of international student that might be coming here. One thing to note as well is that we do have a very supportive network that can be shown in terms of our global hangout study. This is an event that international students can go to typically a couple times a year, which will have just that opportunity to socialise with other international students, so you can relate to them about having a slightly different experience to perhaps a UK-based students. There is a lot of support available and a lot of different opportunities available if you are an international student.
Usually where we are now as well, it's incredibly busy with students passing by as well. In a couple of weeks' time it will be, as we head into the September months with everybody starting their various different degrees. But how much face-to-face learning actually is there? We're talking in a post-COVID era where things are starting to become more face-to-face, but that's quite an important part of university life.
So for me, it depends on the course. So we have courses that are specifically remote learning, but unless that's stated on your course, I think most courses now, Dan, you degree, are face-to-face. At least for me, I have, for the past 3 years, I've had face-to-face learning, and then all the support is face-to-face as well. You can request online learning or meetings if that will help you personally, but mostly it is face-to-face, which has been really beneficial.
And Dan, those requests for what suits you is another aspect of how you can tailor your degree, tailor your postgrad and make it more comfortable.
Yeah, no, 100%. There is a lot of different elements that the University of Kent does to encourage flexibility in terms of the things that Jade was mentioning, but a lot of other aspects as well. So it definitely, while you are here, it is a case where you can tailor the degree so it can work for you more effectively.
Amazing. And then just a line from you both, a bit of advice, putting you on the spot here.
Oh, advice. Time management. I think university is what you make of it, especially as a postgrad student, because it's, it might be you're starting a new university, having gotten used to an old one, but throw yourself into it and join society.
Just give everything a go.
Yeah.
And kind of what you were saying, Jade, I think just getting stuck in and just trying everything that you can while you are a University of Kent student. There's tons of opportunities in terms of the societies we were talking about, in terms of career opportunities, but just tons of different social events that are going on off campus and off campus. Obviously, as you say, Jade, time management for taking time for your academic studies, but just making sure that you, if you would like to get stuck in with everything that's going on here and just fully embodying what it means to be a University of Kent student.
And you don't have to commit to every single society straight away. You can
No.
try them all out and find the one
Different
that's best
times,
for you
definitely.
as well, for sure. Both of you, thank you very much for joining us and answering plenty of your questions you would have been thinking and wanting to know. Of course, if you want any more information, you can head to the website. It's www.kent.ac.uk. But from us three, we hope to see you at the University of Kent very soon. Goodbye.
Think of everything you know. Everything that makes you remarkable. Everything that makes you, you. Where do you bring it to thrive? Where do you unlock your ambition? At the University of Kent, we make our mark together in a community that celebrates individuality and equality, champions human rights, and embraces entrepreneurial spirit. Because the University of Kent is more than a place. It is a collective of groundbreakers, risk takers, change makers, creative thinkers, and blue sky dreamers. Where we move forward together and where innovative research comes to life. It's time for the world to know that we make ambition count. The University of Kent.